These formats, man. Formats.
Yo, Chuck, man. Damn, man, it's an honor, man, to have you. I know you got to do CNN or whatever.
Nah. We pushed Chris Cuomo to Friday.
Man,
I told them all, yo, listen. I told them all, like, listen, man. I'm in the crowd, man. This is a joyful moment seeing so many voices out there, man. That's what it's about. It ain't about the one voice and some OG grabbing the mantelpiece and saying it's about me giving y'all leadership. Come on, man. The amount of voices, man, that's out there, you don't beat that. And these voices out here, man, it's like, you know, loud ain't enough, man.
You know, Chuck, for many
loud
years,
ain't enough, Joey. I'm the dude like the comic books, like the Watcher. You know, remember that big-headed dude on the Fantastic Four? The Watcher, man. This is what you call a teachable moment, man.
For many people, you were like the only voice at one time.
Nah, Joey. There was other voices out there, you know.
Yeah, but you know, so you said everybody had the green, black, and red pieces. Then they changed them for diamond chains and all that. But you kept your shit the same way, Chuck, all the time.
Maybe because I was older and I come from another time where old heads looked at me and said, man, like, we don't know nothing about that hip-hop shit. You got to be you. You know what I'm saying? Hip-hop is beautiful, man, but we were here as people before hip-hop, man. So the terminologies come along. Situations play around with the terminologies. You know, big ups to terminology too. Since we had it, right? There's a lot of names out there. Descended, Substantial, all the cats we support at Rap Station. But we are people first, man, and all culture comes out of us, man. And so when people go around and say, "Oh man, I love hip hop, man," but you don't love black people, you don't love people of color, man. We gotta educate them right away. They said, "Yeah,
Chuck,
we can
let me
share
ask you a
hip hop."
question, right? So you from Long Island, Strong Island, Long Island. Where did you get your consciousness from? Where did you get like you came out like you was birthed? Like, you know, Tupac, his mother's shot at Shakur, you know, Black Panther. Where did you get this knowledge of, let's call it blackism, of how to be proud to be black? Like, where did you get that from?
I mean, it's no crazy far-fetched, man. My parents are the same age when they had me, my brother, and my sister, as these young adults are out there and young teenagers are out there. They are the same age. They would have had us at the same age that they are out in the streets right now. So they were open in the 60s. So the 60s taught me, the 70s taught me it was not rare. It was not uncommon for somebody to check you down the street. It reached a point during R&B. That's Reagan and Bush.
You know
that really the separation started. Yeah, that was the separation started, man.
You know what's crazy is right now, I feel like this is the most crucial time ever. I feel like we're gonna really get some change, and we're really gonna change the legislation and new laws, and things are moving faster. Like if you see Eric Garner, they never charged those guys. They paid the cops 5 years later. But now I'm seeing them fire people, locking people up, changing laws, trying to move. This is a different time, right? But even with that being said, you know, people took so much for all those years. I was talking to my brother Ruben Diaz, Bronxboro president, and he was like, "Yo, Joe, do you know what it was like to be in the 60s?" So he said, "So Joe, the same thing we watching out here right now was going on in the 60s. The only difference is they was killing the people who was telling us to march. They was killing Malcolm. They was killing Martin Luther King. They was killing JFK, Bobby Kennedy. Shout out Eric B.
Yeah, Eric B. You know, Eric B had to smack me in the head. He said, "You got to do Joe." You know, he's our union leader. You know that, right? Eric B is our union leader. Yeah, right.
That's my union leader too.
Yeah, big of it.
It was actually worse in the 60s.
Yeah, and the 60s came after the 50s, and the 40s came after the 40s. Every single decade, you had people like today say, "Oh yeah, today a young head would come and say, you know, the difference in it." I could curse on it, right?
Yes.
right? A young head would say, you know, today is different from back then. We don't give a fuck. But understand, there was cats didn't give a fuck in the 80s. You had hip hop. Before, they didn't give a fuck in the 70s or the 60s. Cats were scattered. They didn't give a fuck in the 50s or the 40s, and go back, cats still didn't give a fuck. The difference is, and my friend Layla, she also peeped it out. She just said, the difference is, and I always say this a lot, the difference is that the technologies are different. Today, there's a lot of voices at the same time that they can't stop. The only way they can stop it, you're gonna hear some crazy shit. They're gonna shut down the grid. That's the only way, because so many voices out at the same time. See, we had hip hop. We had hip hop. We didn't have phones and Instagrams and social media to go back. And back in the 60s and 70s, it was none of that at all. So cats had to get together.
My father's Cuban, right? So my father come up under communism and all that. I went to visit my mother and father today. My father told me, yo, be careful, this guy no shut up off all the internet.
Yep.
Yo, this is what my father told me. I seen this before. Be careful, these people don't turn off the internet.
Bro, I went to Turkey, man, a couple of years ago. The president, big up to Enes Kanter, right? Who's also in the human rights struggle, you know, because his people's locked up in Turkey, whatever. They shut off the whole internet for the whole country. So you couldn't even communicate in the whole country. So this is what I'm saying. We love the energy. You got OGs that's supposed to be in their place for what? Counsel and advice. For, you know, for younger G's. Notice I ain't say young. You in your 30s, right? You in your 40s, it's the time. You might be in your 50s, it's the time. You 60s and 70s, you know, like, if you're not saying and doing the right thing, you know, sit your old ass down, right? But be there for counsel and advice to guide. And that's the biggest difference in today. With this movement is coming from a younger energy, man, where the country said, you got to lock your ass in the house. I was surprised that everybody kind of like stayed locked in April. I was surprised because I was like, 3 weeks, it ain't going to work. And then cats complied. But let young people find out, let everybody find out that this was a game. So I'm saying that always be aware that new games will be played with crazy, with no rules. So, you know, stay with the energy. I think there's some simple answers that people want to see right away, even before we get started. Like, number one, this might be a question, answer that somebody might say, what that got to do with anything? Number one, maybe it's my stage and age where I say, you know, Trump need to just go. He need to like resign. Don't even wait till November, right? Now, somebody might say, well, I don't know what that means to me. That's why we say that another thing that's important that younger people are doing is that they putting the force on their local. And that's what voting is all about. If you don't know who that judge is, that district attorney, that cat that's locking up all your peoples all the time, you don't know who's running your school board that your kid is going to, you know, that's a problem, man. Because, you know, the presidential thing, that's a beauty pageant, man. That's a beauty pageant. The local...
So let me ask you something, Chuck.
Yes, sir.
You got Joe Biden, you got Trump. Who's Chuck D?
They too old, man. All of them are too old.
Well, they're the only ones, Chuck.
I know. You got to concentrate on your local and
Chuck,
that dude.
Yo, Chuck,
I know Chuck. The dude got to go. The dude got to get out. Trump got to go, man.
So Joe Biden,
he just got.
He got to go.
Listen, man, he just gotta go, man. When somebody say, if somebody say, listen, man, what Trump got to do with it? All I got to do as an old head say, I'm mad at that dude for Central Park 5, man. So I could be mad at him just for that, right? And then you explain to them what it is, and then they're, oh, I hear you, OG. I hear you.
He put out the ad.
Man, I remember it clear as day.
Falsely accused.
Exactly. So I got beef forever with this dude. Then all of a sudden, like, I wouldn't have had no beef with him because he was irrelevant to me, but this country gonna vote him to be president? I'm like, get the fuck out of here, man. I don't care what anybody said. That's a problem. That was a problem, second one. But you know what? Then people start coming up with, and I understand, you come up with reasons because you might not be sophisticated in the answer. I never looked at President Obama being Jesus, man. The minute that he got in there, I took my hourglass, right? And I put it like this. I said, man, let me get my moves on, because I know ain't nothing gonna come out of that. But one thing I could buy is some time. When this dude's in there, not only will the games be played, but you can't even buy no time, man. And time and buying time is important for you to educate people on a no offense or no huddle offense.
This boy is radioactive. This boy is radioactive.
I mean, look, man, you remember Joe, this dude, man, what, USF generals, he had beauty pageants, he had the Trump casino with all the boxing matches. How the fuck you gonna be president? But you know what? It's not him. It's all these assholes that voted for him, and they are the problem when it comes down to the fraternal order of police keeping a climate and a standard. Now, look, police have been doing the same thing since overseer. My problem with them is like that shit need reform. Along with Elijah, it need reform. You can't confuse. You can't confuse. You can't confuse that
Chuck,
police in the county.
Chuck, defunding police. What does that mean to you?
I don't know what that means. That's just confusion to me. All I know is reform means change that whole shit up. There ain't a national standard, man. It's a gang, man. It's a gang mentality. It's like, you know, you can't. You know how counties work, Joe. You know how counties work. Well, you know how boroughs work.
Yes.
A county work like this. It's like we don't give a fuck what that county do over there. But what we do over here is what we do over here. As long as you got counties and their own jurisdictions and their own judges and their own police force, they're going to think that they are their own country. So there ain't no standard for the police, although it's under the fraternal order of police. They need a national standard. And also, I mean, I'm not even going to say the things that would take a lot of time, but I'm saying there's no fucking standard. The only standard is like, well, let me finish this point, Joe. Let me finish this point. The only standard that they hold is like, if you fuck up dude over there 3,000 miles away, we're going to hold you accountable 3,000 miles away for the same shit. You can't confuse the training or the lack of training with a police officer who's up in the Bronx with somebody who's saving a cat out of a tree in fucking Boondocks County and shit. But they got the same thing, like they all the same people. That shit need to be standardized and reformed, man.
The thing that bugged me out the most is that I realized it's a gang with immunity. And you could get in trouble 17 times and nobody will know about it because they don't show you. And now they passing a law, Chuck. They passed the law. So
they passed a national law? It is a national law.
Listen. They're passing a law. They're trying to pass a law that if you a cop and your partner is killing someone or hurting someone, you can finally tell them, yo, chill. It had to be made a law for your partner to tell you, yo, don't kill the guy or back up or calm down. Like, it's a physical fucking law they got to pass so that somebody, it's the 50A law, so somebody can have to legally say, yo, chill.
Well, that's
why.
The
law.
Well, that's
for
why.
Your partner to say, yo, to calm down.
That's why we got brainiacs out there. So brainiacs are supposed to make sure that they interpret the law to the people so people could be privy on what's going on. You need brainiacs. You need people that say, you know what, I might be boring. I have no charisma. I can't speak to a large group of people. But I'm the fucking brains that fuel the people with so they could be clear on shit. We used to have the news and the media do that.
Let me tell you something. My daughter's 14. She's going to high school. I'm like, yo, baby, make sure you end this year right because the high school, they're going to read your report. I don't understand how we can't see the police report to know if these people, there's no transparency to know if they're hurting people or that people got lawsuits against them or whatever. There is no transparency, Joe.
Well, the thing about what's transparent right now is the whole world is watching the United States like it's on a stage. The number one is many places we go, Joe, around the world, why it's more important, because when you go to different countries, they got their own jurisdiction. We know we go into some places like I was in Indonesia, and they was like, you know, we went over there as prophets of rage. And you got to adhere to the law when you go into places. The whole thing you hope for is that the law is fair to everybody and is equal to everybody. You go into the law, says something like this. It's like, you can play your songs, but I don't want you to say shit to these Indonesians out there. Because you go into a country, they're like, look, man, You pay attention to how we give you the law up front. If you violate our law, that's your ass. Not only will we lock you up, but some places you go, the penalty is death. And this ain't like the 80s where Jesse Jackson went to save a black person and they allowed them to do it. We ain't got none of that. You go to a place in the world, man, that's it, man. So you always focus on the law, but the law has to be upright and fair. And the United States have been talking like we're the fairest place in the world. We the cowboys of the world. Bullshit. You know, we the best place in the world. And the rest of the world would say, okay, if you're the best place, how's this play out? And the whole world watches the United States on the stage of saying what they are. But like Dr. Martin Luther King said 50, 60 years ago, he said, yo, you got to prove what you say on paper. So it's up for the OGs or the older people to be able to interpret these things for young energy. And that's always important. But a lot of times we have to like watch, guide, listen, and don't try to step in their way running your damn mouth, man. Let them run their mouth. Let them activate, and let's be at their side, man. You know, when you call me, I'm there. I don't like to be seen on social media a lot. I like to be heard and not seen, man. I had problems with all these damn formats.
Listen, hypothetically speaking, Chuck D becomes president of the United States. What would you do?
They don't give me that job. You right, hypothetically speaking. They don't give me that job.
Hypothetically, what's the first thing you would do? This could be some cool shit, Chuck.
Number one, since I'm 5 years away from 65, I say retirement age 65. You know, and encourage younger people. Let's look, encourage younger people between 10 and 20 that they got a shot when they're in their 20s and 30s. You shouldn't be 22 years old and say, it's no way I'm going to get a crib. There's no way I'm going to get a job. And when I get my first place to lay my family, I'm going to be 46 years old. The fuck out of here, man. You have older people in administrations, their job was to keep younger people out of their mix. Let younger people run things. Let younger people, the banks are like, well, the banks got proved that you can come up with something in order for us to give you a loan. But here's this person, 67, and he's not, you know, this should be an ease down. Government shouldn't have a whole bunch of 80 or 70-year-olds. I don't care if they know more. If they know more, you're supposed to not know it for your goddamn self. I believe the activity in government should be 30 to 60, man. 30 to 65, man. Cap it, man. You got you had Bernie Sanders at 79, right? And I thought he had the great ideas, right? You have Biden at 77 and an asshole at 75, right? What the fuck are they going to talk about? What future? Do the math. Joey, Cartagena, it's about math, man. You 75 years old. Realistically, how many years you got left in your life? Realistically.
Bro, I don't even know. I'm 49 and I wake up scared every day. I don't know
realistically,
what the 77-year-old doing talking about the
future. That's so I'm saying it's like, look, I'm older than President Obama was. And President Obama, just like every black dude, whatever you believe in, this conspiracy, Illuminati, whatever, skull and bones, whatever, man, that's a whole other project. But I was older than him. I'm older than him. He did like 16 years and 8. All you gotta do is see how much gray hair he got, how much it aged him, and right now he's like, yo,
that boy caught the grays in a week.
Yo, in a week. So what the fuck you think is gonna do to somebody 79? The only way you could do that job in your 70s is not give a fuck. Okay. That's the truth. And the rest of the world looks in and like,
we gotta vote for someone. And we gotta
you gotta vote. You gotta vote to get the guy out. I voted to get the guy out the first time around. But you know what? And I tell people, if you can't even get into a sophisticated conversation about how you got to get the guy out, you know what? If you got kids, especially if you got kids, many of them do, just figure out how you control your goddamn school board. No, your kids, you see your kids at school, so there's a board right there. They all got to get voted in. Who's the judge? Betty, I'll give you another case why I voted important. You pull out your crib, whether it's a building or whether it's a crib. Your car hits a pothole if you drive it, right? Fucks your car up, right? Where you go first? You gonna go to call State Farm because it's your problem, or you gonna start beefing like, no, y'all gotta fix this goddamn street, man. and they'll give you the rigmarole or the runaround. That's when you say, listen, man, y'all got to fix this goddamn street. You can't treat where we live like bullshit. That's where it all connects and be together. Now, if younger people can't feel that, then older people that's in the hood, they're going to make that phone call. But your older people should feel that young people's future is their neighborhood, is their community. Right. When there's that detachment, then when you got like the 20s is trying to figure it out, and the 30s is trying to figure it out, and those in the 40s and 50s, I don't know, these young heads is crazy, and them old heads ain't listening to me. When you got that separation, you ain't fixing nothing, man. You fixing it for a generation. The next generation don't pick up the baton, and the last one is already on to the end zone. But what I'm saying is old school things. But you know what? Hey, let me tell you this, Joe. Let me tell you this one little thing. The biggest difference in the 80s and the 90s, Joe, is the same that the same people are not here. Older people have moved on and transitioned and died, and younger people have been born. I've had both of my daughters in the rallies at 27 and 32 on different sides of the United States, man. And their futures is what they speaking to. They're like, yo, man, I want to get a chance to. I won't have to wait till I'm 50 and all to see the light. Fuck that. They like, I'm not trying to hear that.
Yeah, that's a fact. You know, a lot of times back in the days we was taught to wait our turn, but I don't think that's right all the time. You know, I was saying Ruben Diaz is here on here, and for years I've been trying to get him to be mayor because he's Bronxborough president. And Ruben, he's from the people, but he always wastes his turn, and he let these older people tell him, yo, this guy got to go first. I'm like, man, fuck that, man. Like, right. Go for yours. Let me ask you a question, though, because this is a funny question. This is just a funny question. So Elvis was a hero to most, right? Most of your heroes don't appear in no stamp. Who's a white guy we can trust?
And what?
I'm just saying.
Who's the white guy we can trust and what?
Who's the white guy we can trust?
Well, like if the Knicks need a point guard or something, I mean, what the fuck, Joe? What the fuck? I mean, you got to trust a person that you know that's qualified to do a job, man. I mean, you know, we living in the United States of America, man. Years ago, when I said that black folks, we could not let go the thought that we have to stay connected to the diaspora. That diaspora is everything that lets you know that you can't be a slave in the United States of America. The United States of America is your only motherfucking 3,000 by 2,000 mile box. Man, you boxing yourself into slavery, man. You have to think broader and wide at all times. The whole planet Earth is ours, not a goddamn territory, not a nation. We're a nation within a nation that's trying to make a nation accountable. You know, these things have been said before. That's why when I point to people, I say, well, this is the Nation of Islam, whether you like them or not. This is an agenda that they made. They had to survive in the 1930s United States, and they had to figure out how to group up, and then they figured out how to work themselves in or whatever. These things ain't nothing new. The only thing that's new is people. I tell people, you know, it ain't new just because you never knew. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, we work at it. We work at it, man. Younger people,
what do you think? Reparations.
Younger adults are going to make mistakes, and we got to be like, yo, you get yourself up, and we have to encourage them. Yes, mistakes will be made. We live in a life. Ain't no motherfucker living to 200. So ain't nobody got the goddamn golden rule. When a motherfucker lives to 215 and says, I got shit figured out, then we all going to listen. Like, oh, yeah, this dude right here got it figured out. This lady, how old are they? 215 years old. God damn. We're going to listen to them. But until then, ain't nobody got it all figured out. I tell you one thing, Joe. For the longest period of time, this dude Fauci, everybody was listening to him every second. Then he disappears. We don't hear from him no more. That's why people are like, yo, what is this game of charades? Where the fuck did he go? Why is he gone? Younger adults are always going to ask a lot of questions. They don't get their questions answered. They're going to answer it.
So you don't believe the COVID-19 was real? Like, you almost there?
No. I ain't almost there. I believe everything and nothing at all at the same goddamn time. Figure that one out.
Yeah,
I
because
even when cats be
I'm
coming to
saying,
me, yo, Joe, cause cats be coming to me with their beliefs, right? Or what are the theories? They look at me and test me. I'm like, I believe you, bro. I believe everything you're saying and nothing at the same time. Things will prove itself and work itself out, and you prepare
right now,
yourself.
we're watching 1,000,000 people marching, right? And if it come back in 2-3 weeks that the COVID is keep going down, then this is a problem, right? I mean, we don't want nobody to get sick,
It's a
but it really
problem.
is a problem, right?
It's a problem no matter what. It's a problem no matter what. If somebody want to go off the left field and think it's 5Gs and they want to do 15 years of research in 2 weeks, let them go with that. Prepare yourself. If doctors are coming along and said, listen, I've been dealing with this. This is a nasty element that's different I ain't never seen before. Listen to that and deal with yourself. Prepare yourself. Work on your immune system no matter what. We as traveling people around the world, you know this, Joe. The number one thing you have to work on when you travel across time zones is your immune system. It doesn't fight off death and shit, but you know if you go compromise on your immune system, when your sixes become nine, your nines become six, you got to eat after a certain time, eat the wrong foods and shit like that, you're in the spin cycle. And the spin cycle will probably take you down. If somebody's older and got other issues and shit like that, this shit's gonna bite them like a motherfucking tiger in the cave, man. So, and we got the preparation to say, you know what, we gotta attack something that's coming at us because it is the unknown. And what little we know, you take it into account, you bite off what you can chew, and prepare yourself. It's nasty, man. It had real results. I had to do a dual funeral of an aunt and uncle, man, when New York was destroyed and destroyed by it, and it hit my family in a couple of different ways, man. Tragically, man. So it ain't a joke. I ain't laughing about it, man. It's put a lot of us on the edge, man. But life is life, man. You got to go at life, and not everybody's able to do that. So you got to prepare them with whatever you call it, some pep speech, encouragement. Don't be dour and say, is woe. I need to give the fuck up. Life ain't well. You gotta fight for life. You hear people talk about, yo, man, I'm willing to die. No, but you, like Griff says a lot of times, he says, how many people go out there and say, I'm willing to live? And I'm willing to live. You gotta fight to live, man. Simple as that. So you encourage people. You don't diss people on their path, man. You encourage them. You encourage them that it's a better way. That used to be normal and commonplace when I was coming up. My dad was the best of encouragers. He's a man of many men. He was a king, man. My dad always said, man, you see somebody in a struggle, you give them encouragement. Even if you like on an adversarial side, you give them encouragement. It's about that person's going, those people going to help you. Just it might be a lot of wrong out there, but that doesn't mean you be wrong.
Let me ask you a
So
question.
that's some stand-up shit.
Shout out Khaled. DJ Khaled, he sends his love. Timberland sends his love. They all on here. What does reparations look like to you?
No taxes.
Shit,
I said this, man. I said this 20 years ago. I told Tavis Smiley on the Tavis Smiley show 20 years ago. I said, at this rate, I don't think the United States is going to actually be together in 2050. Because I said it might be in 5 different parts. I said this like 20 years ago. And reparation meant that, I don't know, economy plans. I'm pretty sure people got it figured out. A lot of people have been talking about this for years. But I know immediately, I knew that for people that have been here over 400 years and still taxed, no matter what they do, should not be taxed for land or anything they have been coming in. But you know what? I'm crazy. So I'll be crazy. But that's when somebody asks me that question, that's the goddamn answer.
That's the answer.
That starts there. And if economists wants to come on and figure and map it out, well, whoop-de-doo, we got help from somebody who's an expert. I'm not an expert, man. I'm only an expert in culture, music, and the arts, and I'm a vehicle based on my studies and conversations and readings with a lot of people that try to process it to go forward. And that's why the movement is important.
Let me tell you something. Some of the smartest people in the world have gotten on here in this show and said, you're their favorite rapper of all time. So, guys like Andrew Yang and everybody just kept coming up here saying Chuck D. So to you, you might not think you're the smartest person. To me, I think you're one of the most intelligent persons in the world. Like I seen you talk in the 90s, I'm talking about like 90, 91, about that digital was gonna take over. There was gonna be cassettes was gonna turn into CDs, and then all this shit you was talking, I was just like, I was taking it in, but I didn't know what the fuck you was talking about. And every time it happened, I kept saying, Chuck D is right. Chuck D is right. Chuck D is
Yeah,
right.
but Joe, man, Joe, if the tree lean like this, right? How much credit you get when the tree go like that? The tree, I'm in it, so I'm able to see the tree leaning. So boom, yeah, that's what's gonna happen because the tree is leaning. So it happened to be how much I remember the first day we were like over at 57th Street. Well, that was the first day I saw you, but the first day you introduced me. A Wrangler pulls around the corner. Fat Joe. He says, "Yo, Chuck D, what's up? This is my man Punisher. You're gonna hear a lot from him." That's the day I met Big Pun. He said, "Meet my man Punisher." I said, "That's a nasty name, Punisher." He had the Punisher comic book thing on his shirt. He said, "You know what, Chuck? Like y'all put me on. This is my man. I'm putting him on. You're gonna hear from him, son."
And that boy, you heard from him.
What?
Let me ask you a question. Shout out to Pat Poose on the check-in.
Pat Poose, what's up? We playing this stuff over at Rap Station. Big up to all the Rap Station people out there, man. We broke 1,000 new songs in the last 6 months, man. So we playing all your music over there. Pat Poose did that. Pat Poose is the joint with the alphabetical order, right? On Police Brutality. Yeah, we went on that. Yeah, we went on that.
Never got. Yeah, you know, Pat Poose, that's my brother.
Yeah. He's that other thing, man. It's like cats be up there like measuring MCs, like, he's like, these goat hairs, you know.
Let me ask you something, Chuck, because last time I saw you, you brought it up to me, and a lot of people don't like when I say it because I'm like light, got green eyes, but when I try to explain the Latino with the African, the Caribbean Latinos, I mean, elaborate on that, Chuck.
Well, you can't throw a book at them because they made books disappear. When you make a book disappear, you make facts disappear. That's the fucking downside of the digital era. That you can make a fact, you can play 3-card money with information with people, and that's when you depend on an iPad as opposed to a book. But when you also have Reddit people who have also been there, Rosa Clemente says it best. She says, "Listen, man, we're African people, and the hemisphere with indigenous people, and also the white invasion, European invasion, but also the African combination, man. Puerto Rico especially, man, is not, yes, we know feeling culturally, it's a nation culturally, but as far as the world scope, it's the extension of Africa, man, and also the extension of the indigenous people. Pyramids were built on this side of the world at the same time, if not earlier, than that side of the world. Pyramids. But you got to inform people, but in order to inform people, you can't beat them down. You have to bring them up with information, make them embrace it, make them dig into it. Information and education is not something that you go around and threaten people with. You embrace them. And also, you give them increments.
When I say shit like, yo, I told my father today, I had a little argument with my father today.
Mr. Cartagena?
Yeah.
Am I saying it right?
Yeah. We had a real problem today because I was telling him, trying to explain to him. And in Spanish is even harder for me because, my shit choppy. So I'm explaining to him systemic racism.
Right.
And I'm like telling him like in Cuba. I said, Cuba, I mean, they hate that I say it. But I'm like,
what?
8 million people in Cuba. 5 million is African slaves. 3 million is Cuban. When slavery's over, everybody has babies. And then everybody get mad at me for saying the shit. I'm just saying what I believe to be facts and to be true.
So what? So what? All in the other islands in the Caribbean don't count either? And then you got South America. Right. That's what I'm saying. You got South America, and when you go to Brazil, and you're looking at 120 million folks who are categorized in different quadrants of race and black to try to keep that combination for just saying we black. So they chop blacks up in 8 different ways, and that worked for them for a while until I think we were helpful in the latter years of culture to say, y'all all black, man, fuck all that bullshit. And then today you go to Brazil, but you know what? You know Portuguese, patois and all that, you can't flip from English to that real quick. So there's people in the United States that have no fucking idea of what's going on down there. And that movement is like, boom, boom. It's not just Rio and Sao Paulo that you see on TV. That movement is like, yo, for real. So when so the point is, when you know the diaspora, it eliminates that fucking argument. When you got to embrace the diaspora, when you don't embrace the diaspora, meaning all the African roots and tentacles, you are a slave to American chains, man. I mean, I'm not even American chains. United States of American chains, and then American chains. Because a lot of times, they have the audacity to tell people here that they Americans. I'm like, this is the United States of America. Most people here can't tell you 5 cities in Canada and 3 territories in Mexico. And those are the border countries.
My daughter asks 10 people in front of me every day, who's the vice president of America? Nobody knows. It's Mike Pence. Ain't that shit crazy, man?
Well, better know, especially if we tell this dude he got to get the fuck out by July. I'm telling you, my feeling is that dude got to leave now, man. Fuck November. And then we work on this dude before he go. But that's a higher argument that's beside a lot of people's point right now. I tell you one thing that stunned me, right? The mayor in D.C., when she named that whole street Black Lives Matter. I ain't never seen nothing like that. She like, look, I'm going to use my shit right now and let you know how I feel. Boom, she used look, you got to use the law. When the law's foul, you use the law to go against the law, and then, of course, wait for the fucking venom and the outcome.
Diaz Jr., you hear what he said? He said you got to use it now while you have it.
What? Yeah.
Don't wait till after. I should have did that.
And also at the same time, situations are one hack away in the digital age, man. One hack away. We saw a virus impede our whole everything as far as dealing with our human existence. We don't, let's say we know and we don't know. Let's say we don't know. But could you imagine the machines that are one hack away from being fucked up? Saying, boom, you know what? No phones for a month. That shit will affect someone who's spawned on digital life, because you got to avoid having the soul of a gadget. We have seen on this last situation.
The COVID was showing us that we had to go back to basic shit, that everything we normally adapted to is like irrelevant. Like you had to go back to original.
And how many times do people go back? Hardly none. So this is where we are. What happened this last 3 months was the official ushering from citizens into netizens, where they created a cyber world that is looked upon as being just as legitimate as the world we live and breathe in. And they make some people know and think that it's more important than the world that you're born in on the physical. This is a systematic game that's been going on. Those are the areas I do know about, the effects of technology and how it can actually get into people's psyche and actually change the masses into them asses. They just move the M over and tell you to follow. I mean, yes, I'm talking to you on Instagram, which is Facebook, which is Zuckerberg, which is, you know, also you got the Zoom over there, you got Skype over there, you got FaceTime over there.
They moved that shit in.
They moved that shit in. And the thing is where we don't count because there's new people who have been born into this, and it's going to be hard to tell them and sell them on another world that don't really exist like it did. So we can't talk about going back to the 60s and 70s when things are not here and almost unrecognizable. We can't go back to the 80s and 90s when things are kind of like not here and almost unrecognizable. You have to take what you experienced in your life and make comparisons, analogies. You have to be able to say, this is what we did back here, but this is this version at your time right now that won't have you be a slave to it. So that's an educational process. But if you strip the community of education, economics, and then enforcement and environment and control of all the E's, you got plantation state. It's very hard to teach in the plantation state. So these are the penetration.
You think this country could go into some dictatorship? Because it looks like that's where it's moving.
Do I think it could go into some dictatorship? Number one, man, it's a long conversation, man, but this world is being watched and this country is always being watched and everything is being watched because everybody is wired. But you also have a feeling that says, you know what, man, this is a situation where we being civil and loud at the same time, because loud ain't enough. And the next thing is people going to be like, you know what? This is what we're going to do. We don't give a fuck. But we've always had generations that don't give a fuck. I think what we need right now is just some consolidation of all the generations to understand that we in this movement together. And not every old head got to run their goddamn mouth because the situation is totally different on the terrain.
That boy Terry Crews, man, he know how to talk some shit, though, man. The Terry Crews, the act. Come on, man, yo.
You're gonna have a lot of people, man, in their 40s and 50s, and they're gonna agree to disagree. But now at 60, since I'm in the OG lane, man, I could also be like vocal and tell people what they should do in their 60s, man, because we did it in our hip hop. We was already in our 30s telling people in their 40s and their 30s, like, yo, what the fuck, man? We communicate like this, pay attention. Now you got two other generations in there.
Eric B kept saying the record label should change the word urban back to black music. What do you think?
Of course. Urban means you can have black faces and black music all over the goddamn place and have no ownership. That's where urban came, man. It's the worst thing that came about.
I think the way we looking at restructuring everything where
urban sounds like a good ass cup of coffee. And I've never had coffee in my life. But that's only when the urban came up, I said, oh shit, they're gonna sell you the same shit, call it something else, but ain't gonna be no blackness in the ownership. And that don't always mean that it's great either, because it seemed like somebody, when they black in the ownership, seemed to kind of disappear anyway. I believe in, like, all right, the right person owns the right thing, but you got to be, like, black music got to kind of give back. It can't, like, take. It can't take. Culture's supposed to give back. Can't take back. But if somebody's different at the register, they're going to be like, well, all we know is to do is that shit got to take. And you have young people of all ilk saying, you know what, man, we tired of getting this shit taught to us when the music is telling us another way how we should go about life. Was when killed Brother Floyd, he killed him, and I'm thinking, yo, man, this dude, number one, I thought was suicidal. Number two, I know he probably back of his mind was, well, fuck it then. I don't give a fuck. It's probably going to cause a wreck.
I think you froze up.
I'm talking about Chauvin. Chauvin, the cop that killed Floyd.
Mm. Oh no,
I thought he was murdered, right? He was suicidal, just like many police are in their stress zones or whatever. And I think he was like, fuck it then. He was like, fuck it then. And in his mind, I think he was like, I don't give a fuck if this causes a race riot, right? He might have been like that. I don't think he had no idea that the whole world was like, wait a fucking minute, bro.
Well, you know,
wait
right
a whole world.
Chuck. Stay right there, Chuck. That's the elephant in the room. Race war. That's the elephant in all this shit going on.
They want to say that. They want to pin it on that.
They want to pin it on that. It's looking like that motherfucker in the room. Race war. And I'm seeing a lot of clips of white supremacists, and they don't give a fuck, and we ready to kill anybody. And soon as Trump let me go, I'm killing everything. Like, you know.
Right. And that's a situation that people were mad that President Obama was in there just as a figurehead. So they was already gearing up for that attitude. The attitude that black folks had is like, God damn, man, this is a story that never seems to stop. Police kills a black person, then the police disappear that do it. There's never a murder charge, and it just happened to be, like we take one for the team, but they never take one for the team. Listen, this ain't an anti-cop thing. It's an what the fuck are y'all doing with this hypocrisy thing? I mean, Timothy McVeigh, think about him. You bring up his name. I got 5% on this phone. I'm going to have to talk from without these.
No, good.
Listen, they bring up Timothy McVeigh. You remember, Joey.
Yes,
we OGs, right?
Building.
They made sure the United States and America eliminated him and washed him so quick. I don't even remember a trial. You?
No, it wasn't no trial. He was done, killed.
They didn't want that to spread. Right?
Yes, exactly.
This situation, somebody got to be able to say, they don't want this to spread. They don't want this to spread. It's like, you know what? Police brutality, it's got to stop right here. Now, I don't know what's going on with who's choosing whatever, but I think the thing where people were fed up was like, yo, man, they get no charges. And when they do get a charge, what the fuck happens?
How about you saw Minnesota? They killed a bunch of black people. Nobody ever got convicted.
4 years after Philando Castile, 4 years after.
Jail, the one guy who ever went to jail was a black cop. He killed a white woman. The only one cop who ever went to jail over there.
And that's what people are like, old, young, or whatever. They like, yo, man, that shit's some bullshit. It's like, really? Really? Again? So young people, younger adults and young people are like, really? Your OGs figured this one out. Come on, man. We locked in the crib for 6 weeks. We don't really know what it is. Cats is playing games in the office. Can't finish school, can't graduate. When we get out, we ain't got no goddamn jobs. Can't get a bank loan to get a crib to stay in. Can't go to any sporting events or no entertainment. Can't be on the beaches. It's like, you don't expect they're going to be storming the Bastille? Really? 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 You got to be fucking crazy. I said I was surprised, man, by May 1st that people would be on their kind of best behaviors. I was surprised. 4 weeks, whoa. But after May 1st, it was like, you know what? Handcuff, and this shit happened, man, it was like, yo, fuck that. So as an older head, you got to be able to navigate that, guide it the best way you can, but you're a fool, a goddamn fool if you say you don't understand. So we take different battles. My mission is 60 and over, get this motherfucking Trump the fuck out. Why? Because I feel, number one, dude, you fostered the climate. Matter of fact, if the climate was already there, you put a generator, you put a GTO on the climate. You just got to go, dude. That's like, fuck November, man. Fuck November. Fuck November for what? People already were saying the last election was fucked up and tampered with. So what the fuck we waiting for November for? That's where the revolutionary thought comes in. Fuck you waiting for November. Get this motherfucker out now. He's mentally ill, man. I was old enough to know when Nixon, they put so much pressure on Nixon. And I remember, it was like, we're looking at Nixon. Nixon's like, I can't fuck with this because they put pressure on him. The two parties that was there said, you just got to go, dude. They brought in Gerald Ford. Gerald Ford was a dude they both could get along with, and they gave him problem when he tried to bring in Rockefeller. No people, not Jay-Z's record company, Nelson Rockefeller, the former governor of New York State, where I'm from and born. They brought him in. They said, we don't want the corruption of this money dude wrapped up in a system, man. Stuff, fuck that. So they gave him the 8-9 degree. So Nelson Rockefeller was vice president for 2 years with Gerald Ford, and they let that slide while they tried to get their shit in order and try to fix their blaring hypocrisies. And then Jimmy Carter came in. So I'm saying this might be like all fucking hieroglyphics to somebody, but as an old head, you gotta eliminate the motherfucking climate dude first. And then somebody might say, well, he's a distraction. Everybody's a goddamn distraction. The goddamn ninth inning of the NBA playoffs are a goddamn distraction. Get rid of whoever it is and work on it.
Let me tell you something. if we still had basketball, if we wasn't stuck at home, we stuck at George Floyd, rest in peace, might have flew under the radar. It was the fact that we were stuck at home. We was tired of COVID.
And
no
also
sports going on, no shit going on.
And also, listen, and the voice of our good brother, Steven Jackson. Steven Jackson, who said it was his twin. He's been a fighter for years, man. The NBA just put Steven to the side like, man, he's a fucking problem. And Cube put him in the big three, and he's the real deal. I ran into Steven Jackson, and we was flying together in the airport, and he broke the news when Nipsey Hussle just got killed, and he broke it over to me. So this is a dude, man, down his heart, from Port Arthur, Texas, same spot from Bun B and UGK, brothers about it. And when this happened, I was like, damn, man. And he said, yeah, you know, he was speaking to everybody as his twin, but he said, yo, man, we don't need to understand and sleep on shit like this because this shit could happen to you. So you let Steven Jackson lead and say, Jax, I got your back. Bun B went up there immediately. They boys from Port Arthur, Texas. We in this shit together, man. Doesn't mean everybody run their mouth at the same time. That's, yo, boom. You taking the foe, I salute, boom. That's the hip-hop rap community shit that Eric B was our union leader on that. When Eric B spoke, I took flank. When I spoke, Eric B took flank. It's what it is, man. We have a united voice for each other. But they got shit to do.
Just this last week alone, we had Bun B, we had Killer Mike, we had Stevie Jacks, we had everybody on this motherfucker.
And Mike is a wonder,
He's
man.
a beast,
I'm telling you, Killer Mike he did the best speech down in Atlanta, man, on the news, man, I ever heard, man. Killer Mike is, come on, man.
The only guy I know that my Republican friends love him too. And he's talking shit about him. And they love him. They're like, yo, that guy Killer Mike.
But all Killer Mike is saying, look, I'm a goddamn grown-ass man. It's, you know, when you a grown-ass man, you 35, you 40, you 45, you can have fun. You can't have 17-year-old fun. Leave that for a 17-year-old. They shouldn't have no pressures of wondering, like, what kind of world I'm going to come up into. I don't know if I could go to school. I don't know what the fuck that means. And then the first thing I got to do when I get the degrees and all, it would be Best Buy fucking manager at 37, man. I can't get no fucking crib that way for my kids. Nah, there's so much of the old guard that got every goddamn something. They want the future too. I'm like, you can't take the future. You 70-something years old, you 60-something years old, you got fucking 20 to 25 years best to play around with. That ain't no goddamn future. You 20 years old, you looking at 50 fucking years, man. That's a few older people supposed to be able to, for those after them, and not just your kids either. I think my phone is running dead, Joe.
I love you, Chuck D, man. Thank you for stopping on the show. Please, let's get it on again. Man, thank you for coming.
Yo, I'm sorry I'm late because last year I was in Japan. Joe's like, you got to get on the show, Chuck. And then we've been going back and forth. My apologies, Joe. You know, I'm not on Instagram. My daughter runs an Instagram, so she like, yo, you need to get on Instagram. And Joey is trying to say when you get on there, you got to pay your dues. So I'm like, okay, do I use my iPad? Do I use my phone? Or do I use my laptop? She said, nah, use your phone. I'm like, yeah, but my phone's going to go dead.
Shout out to Eric B for also making this happen. You know, the union leader.
Yeah, he's a union leader, man.
No, Chuck, I love you so much, man. You're one of the most intelligent persons in the world. I know you don't do this for nobody, man. Me and the audience of the Fat Joe Show, the big show. We appreciate you and we love you, my brother. Thank you for getting on.
Yeah, I got to give Flavor. I talked to him earlier, man. He's in the lab, man. Could you believe that? Flavor's in the lab. I've been on his ass. I've been on his ass to be in the lab. I said, you can't take 10 years off, dude. So he'll probably be on your show next. Man, don't ask him too many questions, though.
That's my brother.
Don't ask him too many questions, though. All right.
All right, my brother. One love.